Welcome back for the last time. We're here to talk about the sixth and final stop, notice, and note reading signpost, which is the memory moment. At this point, I hope you've gone through the short introductory lesson about what a memory moment signpost is. And so you know that when you spot the memory moment signpost, stop to ask yourself, why might this memory be important? So in this video, we're going to look at examples of memory moments, and we're going to take them from excerpts from the novel Hope Was Here by Joan Bauer. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this work, haven't read it, this is a book about a 16-year-old girl named Hope who once again must leave a place she's called home to move. Now, we pick up the novel as she and her aunt are getting in the car to begin their latest move. So, as we go through this text, make sure you're focusing and looking for these memory moments. Okay. We walked across the street to the old Buick that was packed to the hilt with everything we owned and had a U-Haul trailer chained to the back. It was May 26. We were heading to Mahoney, Wisconsin to start work in a diner there that needed a professional manager, and cook, Addie, was short on waitresses, me, and was giving us an apartment. The man we were going to work for had been diagnosed with leukemia and needed help fast. I don't mean to sound ungenerous, but working for a close-to-dying man didn't sound like a great career move to me. I had to leave school right before the end of my undistinguished sophomore year, too. I hate leaving places I love. We were about to get into the car just as Morty, the cab driver, double-parked his yellow taxi. Good old Morty. The first time I waited on him, he unloosened his belt a notch before he even looked at the menu. I knew I had a true believer. I raised my hand to a great tipper. "You always took care of me, kid," he shouted from across the street as a UPS truck started honking at him to move his cab. "I tried, Morty. Wherever you go, you'll do okay. You got heart." The UPS driver screamed something heartless at Morty, who screamed back, "Hey, watch your mouth, big man in a brown truck." I don't know what kind of customers I get in Wisconsin. Okay, so let me pause right here. I've noticed that the author interrupts her narrative to have Hope, the main character, tell us about a memory. Now, I know that memories are important to characters, just as memories are important to each of us. Here, Hope's walking across the street toward the car and the U-Haul trailer when she sees Morty stop in his cab. Seeing Morty reminds her of the first time she had waited on him, a memory from her earlier days working in the restaurant. And she recalls that even on that first encounter, she had known that he'd be an appreciative customer. So when I see a memory interrupt the story, interrupt the flow of the narrative, I need to ask myself the memory moment signpost anchor question. Why might this memory be important? Now, even though Hope doesn't make a big issue of this memory, it's in the story for a reason. The author puts it there with purpose, so what could that reason be? I think it helps me see how Hope is feeling about leaving home. She's going to miss Morty and others like him. And then when I got to that line in which she wonders what sort of customers she'll leave in Wisconsin, the last line of that portion of text we just read, I realized too that her warm memory of serving Morty has made her worry about what she'll face in Wisconsin. Will her new customers be as friendly and pleasant as Morty had been? I'm beginning to understand through this simple memory what leaving this town really means to her. That she's leaving behind a comfortable, happy situation for one filled with uncertainty and anxiety. So let's take a look at another passage from the novel from the same point in the book. Hope's gotten into the car with her aunt, Addie, about to set out on the trip to a new life in Wisconsin. As we read, see if you notice the memory moment. Take note of where it appears and ask yourself, why might this memory be important? She grabbed my hand and gave it a squeeze. Addie never promised that life would be easy, but she did promise that if I hung with her, the food would be good. Believe me when I tell you, I know about survival. I was born too early and much too small, 2 pounds and 5 ounces. For the first month of my life, I felt like gasping for air, like I couldn't get the hang of breathing. I couldn't eat either, couldn't suck a bottle. The doctors didn't think I would make it. Shows what they know. My mother didn't want the responsibility of a baby, so she left me with Addie, her older sister, and went off to live her own life. I have seen her exactly 3 times since I was born, when she visited on my 5th, 8th, and 13th birthdays. Each time she talked about being a waitress. What made a good one? Great hands and personality. What were the pitfalls? Crazed cooks and being on your feet all day. What was the biggest tip she ever got? $300 from a plumber who had just won the instant lottery. Each time she told me, "Hun, leaving you with Addie was the best thing I could have done for you. You need constance in your life." She had a different hair color each time she said it. Addie's been my #1 constant. Because of this, I don't buy into traditional roles. My favorite book when I was little had pictures of baby animals, like foxes and lambs and ducklings, who were being raised by other animals, like dogs, geese, and wolves. Addie said it was our story. Okay, again, I'll stop. Okay, Hope and Aunt Addie are heading off to Wisconsin, but instead of thinking ahead to the trip and where they're going, Hope thinks back and remembers her mother, especially the 3 times, the only 3 times she's visited. Remember that when we come to such a moment, we ask ourselves the anchor question, why might this memory be important? So do that. Okay, take a moment right now, pause the video, and try to answer this question about why this memory would be important to her. See you in a moment. Okay, so I'm hoping that you're thinking that we can learn from this memory moment that Hope's mother essentially deserted her. And we should be inferring that Addie, her substitute mom, is thus extremely important to Hope. I mean, when we're young, we look to our mothers for security. And at this anxious moment, about to leave for a new home, she thinks back about the failures of her own mother to give her that security. This seems to remind her just how important Addie is to her. We've learned that Hope's mother isn't very present much in her life, and that Addie has become a substitute mom for her. I mean, in fact, Addie's so important, and she goes into such detail about it, that I actually begin to worry that the story will be about losing that support somehow. But at this point, we really will have to read through the rest of the novel to see if that kind of prediction is correct. So let's keep reading about Hope. As we read this next section, notice and note any memory moments that you see, and when we finish with this next selection of the text, I want you to ask yourself the anchor question, why might this memory be important? I stared out the window as the Buick roared west to whatever. Harrison Beckworth McCoy, my best male friend at school, had given me a goodbye present, and I was opening it now as Addie pushed the Buick through Ohio. Inside the box was a small glass prism that caught the sun. A hand-printed note from Harrison read, "New places always help us look at life differently. I will miss you, but won't lose you." Harrison was always saying sensitive things like that, which put him instantly on Jocelyn Lindstrom's male sensitivity chart. He was the only male either of us knew who had made the chart consistently over 12 months. Donald Raspigi, who occasionally said sensitive things like "nice sweater," had been on twice. Enter memories, sweet and sour. Harrison and me baking enormous mocha chip cookies for the high school bake sale and having them stolen on the Lexington Avenue subway. Harrison's African fighting fish, Luther, who ate Chef Boyardee ravioli without chewing. Harrison reading my mother's photocopied annual Christmas letter that she sent to the family and friends. "Dear friends," she'd cross out friends and write in "Addie and my little tulip." Harrison commenting that motherhood should be like driving a car. you should have to pass a test before you do it legally. I held the prism to the light. The sun hit it and showed colors through the windshield. Now isn't that something? Addie said, smiling at the sight. Yeah. I looked out the window, trying not to cry. So, okay, take a moment here. Pause the lesson again, if you will, to reflect on the memory moments you just found and why these memories might be important. Yes, these memories are easy to spot in the story, but we can't stop there. Okay, we need to think about why they are important enough for the author to take time to write about them. This last passage actually began with a memory moment. Hope thinking back to Harrison and giving her a prism. Then she mentions his sensitivity, the pleasant times they had together, and his sarcastic comments about her mother. And as a reader, as I think about why these memories are important, I realize that this is a powerful way for the author to show me just how attached Hope is to her friends. She probably doesn't know if she'll ever see Harrison again and wonders if she'll make new friends. Looking at these memories, it should give us a good introduction to the character Hope. So let's take a moment to review what we did in this lesson with these examples. We learned about the Memory Moment Signpost. We should be on the lookout for when an author interrupts the flow of what's happening right now in the story and refers back to something a character remembers. So when you notice these moments, these memory moments, stop and ask yourself the question, why might this memory be important? Be sure you don't just recognize and label the moment, but you think about its significance and the real meaning. All right, thanks for working with us through this memory moment example video. And that is the last of these 6 reading signposts. Hope you've enjoyed them, and I'm looking forward to working with them with you as we read more and more. Take care for now.